Hey everyone, this is Kevin the Apptrepreneur and welcome to my channel, and today we're going to talk about Uber and what the one thing they may be doing that might actually bring their app crashing down. Now I know I've talked about the end of Uber for a long time. I mean, honestly, when I started this channel and when I was known as primarily the Uber guy, basically Uber not surviving in 2 to 3 years was kind of a running theme. I think since we're now more than 5 years from those first videos being posted, I think Uber's done a very good job at holding on to their relevance. They became a verb, they're still out there, and despite absolutely destroying more lives than I can think of, except for maybe Scientology, they have managed to stick around. And not only that, they, like Scientology, which is a cult, their drivers continue to drive for them, even though they get unequivocally screwed every single day that they are on the platform. Look, folks, there's a reason that all of the UberTuber channels, except for maybe the Rideshare Guide, basically moved on from this disaster of a company. This company only makes money for themselves, and honestly, they don't even do that very well. But the thing is, I always, like when I was young and naive and probably a little stupid, always thought that the drivers would have the power to bring Uber down. Remember hashtag delete Uber? God, I remember the good old days when a hashtag could potentially bring down a multi-billion-dollar company. And yet Uber themselves may have done the one thing that they should not have attempted in bringing down their company, and that is ads. In the sense that Uber is basically now spyware. Now, for those of you who don't know what spyware is, you've probably dealt with it before. It's one of those programs, or it's a browser extension that you install. You don't really read the terms of service very well, and after you've installed it, you start getting a ton of pop-up ads, or they start putting links in the web pages, all to sell you products. The funny thing is, there's really not a lot of evidence that suggests that people actually buy anything when you spam their computer this way. But, you know, scammers still do it. They still want to sell you things, and so spyware is a big thing. And people hate it, and usually once it's been infected in your computer, it's hard to get rid of it. And then there's some malicious spyware where basically they hold your computer hostage until they get your credit card information. Even then, you might not get your computer back. I'm not going to go as far as to say what Uber is doing is that. But years ago, it was announced that Uber would eventually be using their data that they have collected from their drivers and their riders to essentially introduce ads into the app. Now, I remember at the time, my buddy Mark from Uber Hints basically saying how this could be like a gold mine for Uber, and, you know, maybe it still is the case. I mean, I've been wrong about Uber's demise before. Maybe this will be a good thing for them, but the way that they're going about it seems absolutely cringe, and it seems absolutely the wrong way to do it. So what's going on? I'm going to show you some examples of that. Basically, Uber is just spamming the Uber app with ads for things like Peloton and McDonald's and mobile games. And it's not just that the ads are playing during the app, because you know what? There's a lot of things that ads play when you're, you know, using them. You go to a gas station now, you get some gas, and guess what? There's a stinking TV there trying to play an advertisement to pick up something in the AM/PM or the 7-Eleven you're visiting. So, you know, this isn't entirely new, but Uber's taking it a step further where they're actually pushing notifications for advertisements. And that is just one of the most annoying things you can do. There's a reason that a lot of people don't turn on notifications for their apps, because the apps tend to spam them with deals. Like, yeah, you might want to download the Papa John's app so that you can order a pizza now and then, but do you want to know that there's a sale every other day, or what their newest creation is? Do you really want to be bothered to get a Papa Bowl when you know that on Friday you're going to get the Shakaroni? I mean, they're just annoying. So a lot of people will get these apps and they will turn the notifications off. The problem with Uber, of course, is that the notifications are convenient and they are useful. you order a ride, you want to be notified of when the driver is arriving, you want to know where that driver is. It's very, very important to have the notifications on. And Uber's basically taking advantage of that, and they are pushing ads for Peloton. Because, nothing says, yeah, these users want to get a Peloton bike when they're ordering an Uber to go someplace that's 4 or 5 blocks down the road. I mean, nothing screams, targeted advertising quite like that. But the thing is, this is the kind of thing that could actually ruin Uber's reputation. And here's one of the sad things that I realized a while ago. I've kind of admitted it, but I'll restate it here. Uber was never going to be taken down by their mistreatment of drivers. The reality is people do not get concerned about bigger issues unless it affects them. Case in point, when Disney bought Fox, do you think that the average person was talking about whether or not there were monopolistic concerns, or that, the Hollywood was getting homogenized and that Disney was maybe owning too much stuff? No, they were just concerned whether or not Deadpool 3 would be rated R or not. Well, it's kind of the same thing with Uber. It doesn't matter how many drivers were living in their cars. It doesn't matter how many Showtime series starred Gordon Joseph Levitt as Travis Kalanick aired that showed that Uber was a terrible company, that they were sexist to their female employees, that they abuse their drivers, that they steal from the passengers. None of this was going to affect people's use of Uber because Uber is convenient and it's fun, and at least for a while it was affordable. It's not so affordable now. But if you affect the riders personally, that was the only thing that was ever going to get Uber to change. Uber has admitted that ride share and delivery is down because their fees keep going up and up because Uber needs to make money and inflation and all that jazz. It's kind of funny that inflation's hitting Uber when they don't own the fleet of cars that deliver the passengers or the product, but yet they raise the price and don't give to the drivers. Whatever. That's Uber for you. Another day at the Uber office. So Uber sales are down a little bit, and of course they need more money. So what do? Well, they decide they are finally going to implement the ads. They've talked about this for a very long time, and now is time for them to actually do it. And again, they are doing it in the most annoying way possible. It's through the notifications. Now, in all fairness, if you are savvy enough, you can go into the settings and turn off the ad-targeted notifications. You are allowed to do this, and of course, if you are using an iPhone, you could preemptively, when you install the app, ask Uber's app not to track you, and that is probably, right now, the best thing about owning an iPhone is that they are blocking companies from taking your information like that. But here's the thing. A lot of people are not tech-savvy enough to do this. So they're going to be getting tons of ad notifications from Uber about Peloton and McDonald's and mobile games, and you can get this coupon off, and they're going to get annoyed by it pretty quickly. This was annoying enough that Uber ads actually was trending on Twitter for like 6 hours before Elon Musk finished his purchase of the platform, and then people started having a meltdown about that instead. Short attention spans and all that. But here's the thing. Right now you have 2 rideshare apps, primary rideshare apps. You have Uber and Lyft. And there really has been no discernible difference between either one of them, in the sense that, yeah, the prices are similar, and people always had 2 because guess what? If they would check one app and then they check the other, and whatever one was cheaper, that's the one that they would take. But now there might be a reason to take the Uber app off, because guess what? People don't like getting push notifications for advertisements. It's annoying. It's intrusive. And some of these ads are popping up at like 9 a.m. or 9 p.m. or 11 p.m. or 3:30, just random times. And people aren't happy about that. And the Uber app has essentially become spyware. It's putting a bunch of ads that people don't want to see. It's ruining the interface of their phone. And it's being a huge, huge inconvenience. So what are people going to do? Well, here's the thing. Uber and Lyft are basically the same thing at this point. Why would they keep the Uber app installed? You know, remove Uber, keep DoorDash and Lyft, and then move on. That's potentially what a lot of customers are going to do going forward. It's going to be interesting to see how the advertising actually helps Uber. And by the way, there is a chance, I acknowledge, that Lyft will do the same thing. Lyft is notorious for basically copying Uber. They used to innovate, now they copy. And if Lyft decides, well, Uber is doing it, so I guess we can do it too, then I guess people are just going to have to get used to it because that's the way it is. But it's going to be interesting to see how Lyft responds, because if word gets out that people are taking the Uber app off their phone and using Lyft more because Uber has ads and Lyft doesn't, it'll be very interesting to see if Lyft holds their ground and whether or not Uber actually goes back on the ads. I'm not naive. I know that ads are what make the world go round. It's why Netflix's ad tier was always an inevitability. It's why Google is still the most profitable company in the world, despite having so many projects that get killed early on, including the recently deceased Stadia, because they have AdSense. And Microsoft got into the ad game, and that's making them really, really big. In fact, ironically, one of the few trillion-dollar companies that are not getting into ads, it seems, is Apple, because Amazon is getting into the ads too. So I am not naive to the fact that ads make the world go round, but when you are this intrusive about your advertisements, it tends to really sour your audience, and it'll be very interesting to see if the public starts literally deleting Uber because they just don't want to get Peloton notifications in the middle of the day for no reason they can think of. Anyway, that's my little discussion on that. What do you think? I'd love to know. Comment below, like, favorite, share, subscribe. Tell me if you think this ad thing is going to destroy Uber or not. And as always, flame responsibly. Have a good one.